Hey book besties, I'm Haley.
And I'm McKaylee. Welcome back to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist.
Season 2 is here and we're messier, moodier, and more obsessed with fictional men than ever.
Expect chaos and all the twists your TBR can handle.
Let's get plot
twisty! Hey everyone, and welcome back to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist. We have such an exciting episode today because we're joined by an incredible guest, book talk founder and author, Cait JACOBS.
Cait is the author of The Princess Knight, which actually was traditionally published just a few days ago.
In our chat with them, we're diving into all the good stuff, their inspiration behind the story, social media marketing, and how they've built an audience.
We'll also be diving into Cait's publishing journey, the evolution of The Princess Knight, which longtime fans might remember was originally titled Medievally Blonde, and of course, all things bookish.
Let's get started. Cait JACOBS, welcome to Two Chicks and a Plot Twist! Yay!
Hi! Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh my gosh.
We're so happy you're here.
This is like a surreal moment. We have been following you on Book Talk forever, like seriously forever. And then whenever I got in touch with Jessica, your agent, or with your publishing team, I was like texting McKaylee, oh my gosh, I think this is actually happening. Like, I'm like hyperventilating at work. I can't believe this is happening.
You are a celebrity in our book world, so
Yes.
What an honor it is to have you on. You are so amazing with this huge empire you've built. And let me just say, everyone, you're already probably following them, but they have over 300,000 followers on TikTok and nearly 100,000 on Instagram. I think the exact number might have been like 97.7.
It's
I
crazy.
think that's exactly it.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
But who knows? It might be more by now, for sure.
Right.
By the time this episode airs,
Yeah.
we have so much to talk about.
And so, for anyone that hasn't picked this up yet, so by the time this episode releases, it's just a couple days after your release date. If people haven't picked up The Princess Knight yet, how would you describe it to people?
Yeah, so my latest thing has been jokingly calling it The Princess Bride meets Tadette Kelly. However,
Oh yeah, that is like the
wow.
that is the best explanation for that.
I think that gets the vibes across pretty
Oh, yeah.
well. But it is basically a YA adult crossover fantasy, so it's in like that late teens, early 20s range, following a princess trying to win over the prince who ruined their betrothal plans, a betrothal her kingdom desperately needs. So when he says she's not strong enough to be his queen, she decides to prove him wrong by going to this military academy where she meets his guard and best friend. And together they start training together, and they may end up a little bit closer than they should. And they also discover some threats to both of their kingdoms.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh. And I will say, I've been reading that. I went to Mexico last week, so I took the book with me, and I was reading it religiously. I have 100 pages left. So if I have to hear a spoiler, that's fine. It's on me. But I could not put it down today. My husband was trying to talk to me, and I'm just like going and
Oh, yeah.
going. But the idea of mixing Legally Blonde with medieval knights is just really such a fun and unique idea. Where did the concept come from?
So it happened years ago when I got the idea for this. I was reading a fantasy book, and there was a moment that really reminded me of Elle Woods. And I was trying to think of what that type of archetype would look like then in a fantasy novel. If you think of like the 2000s, like really unapologetically girly girl who's always underestimated, what would that type of rom-com archetype look like in a fantasy book? And then I ended up playing with that idea way too much. I had a little bit too much fun, and it ended up becoming a natural book.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we love it. I ate it
Yeah.
up.
Oh my god.
I ate it up.
Thank
It was
you.
so good.
Thank you.
And I will say, it combines everything that McKaylee and I love. It has fantasy. We are big fantasy girls. You can tell by
Yes.
the books behind us. Disability, found family, queer romance, and also self-acceptance, which special place in my heart. When you were writing, what was most important to you to make sure that you got all of these elements right and all these themes right going together?
I think it was something that I was very worried and anxious about, like, doing it the justice I want to do. When I was
Right.
working on it, being a queer and disabled person, having that representation was so important to me because it's been such an important part of my life. And as I was writing the book, I really wanted to make sure that I was doing it justice, that I wouldn't be alienating any members of the community. And in order to do that, I really focused on experiences that I have gone through. I didn't want it to be a part of the major plot. In the book, you'll notice that it's a bit, specifically with Ronan's arc, disability is a little bit more forward, but in general, I wanted to just be a part of who they were, and just more of this extra thing that exists, and it's not their entire life. And that, I think, was the most important part when I was working on the character development and working on the plots with them.
Well, McKaylee hasn't finished it yet, so she doesn't know the ending. What happens to my new boyfriend, my new book boyfriend?
Your
but
new
I love him.
boyfriend?
I love him so much.
Oh no, what happens to him?
Nothing
my
bad.
God.
Nothing bad. But
Well,
it's
don't scare me either.
no,
Oh my God.
no, nothing bad. It's just him finding himself and doing all the things, which I love.
Doing all the things. Oh my gosh. And I do have to say, just because I'm such a literary psychology nerd, that you've woven these, like, the queer, the disability, everything LGBTQ in this story so seamlessly. And it's not, like you said, at the forefront of this story, but it's written in a way that it's normal. Like, this should be normal. And I wish it was in today's time and culture, like, normal across the board for everyone. And I wish it had always been this way, because a lot of the time I feel like this job of, let me teach the world that about the LGBTQ community. So let me make my main character LGBTQ, and this is their story, and this and this and this happens. And the same thing also happens with, like, people of color. Like, why is it their job to teach the rest of the world that this Black character needs these things? Well, and I bring this up because I'm taking a class on it, so it's really fresh on my mind. So I just need you to know what you've written here makes it feel like this is not unusual. And it shouldn't be. It should never have been unusual
Everyone
to
is
the human community.
Everyone's so accepting in The Princess Knight. All the characters, they accept one another for who they are, and it's just so good.
Yes, and I wish I could find more writing like this. And yes, I do believe more LGBTQ work should be out here in the world too, with that also being the main focus, because I'm ready to pick it up and read it too. But you said you were trying to be careful with all this representation, and I think you executed everything amazingly. So I just had to say that while we were on the topic, and I had to get that off my brain, because I was thinking about it while I was reading it. I'm like, it's just so normal for these characters to be LGBTQ plus and all the things. And you made it work so well. And before I keep going on and rambling, I'm like, I'll save it for the end. I'm like, we have to get the right questions first. But what advice would you give to writers who want to bring more authentic queer or disabled representation into their work?
Yeah, well, first, I do want to say just that thank you for saying that, because that really does mean a lot to hear. But I think, honestly, the advice I would give is just to write the story, write what you want to write. Don't worry about the market. Don't worry about if publishing will want to publish it, because I do think that's a lot of thing on writers' minds is like, is this book too, like, disabled, too queer, or am I not disabled enough, or am I not queer enough to write it?
Yeah.
I know those are always thoughts that I have felt. Like, you get a little bit of that imposter syndrome about your own identity. And then also worrying about, the world we live in is not as accepting as the ones we like to write about a lot of the time, and worrying about eventually making it into the world with it. And I think my biggest advice is just not worry about that step yet. Write the story that you want to write it as true to yourself and your vision as you can, and then worry about everything else later. Get that story down, get that story told, and eventually there will be someone who wants to read it, and you will get there. It just may take some time. And unfortunately, with marginalized communities, it may take longer. But it will get out there, and hopefully things will get better and more accepting over time. We're making progress, but we've also taken some steps back, so hopefully we'll go back to making progress soon.
Right.
I love it.
You're so inspiring. Everything you just said, I'm like, I need to clip this and keep it like on my phone at all times so I can go back and listen to you talk. It's so good.
Good thing it's a podcast.
I
It's
know.
being recorded.
I can only say this stuff because I've been in years of therapy, and I've had therapists tell it to me.
They've ingrained it in you.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
they've trained me well.
Well,
Wow.
going into sort of your writing process, what parts of writing The Princess Knight came naturally to you and what parts were kind of difficult for you to write?
That's interesting. So, The Princess Knight, it went through a whole bunch of different versions. It was a very different book when I first started it. And when I write, I usually try to do a quick draft. I used to do NaNoWriMo all the time, and that's how this book started. So, but I gave myself an extra month because I knew I wanted it to be 90,000 words instead of 50,000, which is, if people don't know what NaNoWriMo was, it was a challenge to try to write 50,000 words in the month of November. So you'd have to write 1,667 words a day. And I had
crazy.
been doing it since I was in like 8th grade. So this
my
was one of
goodness.
those challenges. Yeah, I really annoyed my English teachers in high school. But this was, I did it for that, and I started it a month early so I could have an extra month to write the first 40,000 words. So for me, I think the hardest part in writing is just getting myself to sit down and write. But once I was doing it for that first draft, there was no time to think. There was no time to struggle. The hard part for me was going back and editing. I spent years procrastinating. I would like go back, look at it very briefly, like go over the first 50, 100 pages, hate everything, put it aside, not look at it again for months. I then gave a copy to my sister and I'm like, you deal with this? Like, this is your problem now? It was also very funny because I think I did this like a year after I met her. So we didn't even have that great of a relationship. And I was like, I'm already throwing this on you. But it was, the editing was very much my biggest challenge. And then especially Ronan was a challenge for me at first, because I didn't know what to do with him. He was not a point of view character at first.
Really?
Originally, it was all Clea's point of view. And when I was working on the second draft, which was really like my real first draft, the first draft, we don't count. That was a mess. But when I was working on that, I was realizing there was a lot of issues with Ronan's arc and with where he was as a character, and it just wasn't a lot of the issues in the book at the time could be pinned down to him as a character, and just it wasn't what it needed to be. So I had to rework his character, make him a point of view character. And then that also meant, like, refigure out his backstory, refigure out who he is and what he wants. And that was actually when his disability arc got introduced. Originally, that wasn't a big part of his character. And that's why I kind of view Draft 1 Ronan as a completely different character, because it was not the same man. When I eventually added all that, it was a lot of work. And probably it took me months to figure it out. But everything went a lot smoother after that.
See, I don't know what I would do without his chapters and his point of view. Those were like I love Clea. She's amazing, beautiful, stunning, love her so much. But my man, love him so much.
And they're really so insightful. I feel like the world is so much bigger now that we have his point of view, because we see not only just his point of view and what he's thinking, but how are these other characters
interacting with
without being around Clea. You know,
exactly.
Like Dom and Hall?
Donal.
Donal?
Yeah.
Donal.
You know, if you know the actor from Star Wars, Donald Gleason, same name.
Okay.
That's my trick to help people.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to know, before I even move on to the next question I already had, where did the names come from? Did you use a random name generator? Did you sit at, like, were they in dreams? Were you like, oh, this is a dream? Or, like, are they combinations of your favorite things? Like, tell us.
So they are, for the most part, they're all Irish names. There are, I think, maybe like 3 names that aren't rooted in Irish names. One of them is actually Tortoise-Lane. So Tortoise-Lane actually came, I used to work at a library, and one of the kids at the library I worked in children's programming. When I was working on this book, I would be sitting at my desk at the library, coming up with ideas and working on my outline. And this kid would spend a lot of time with me at the desk, and she helped me come up with Tortoise-Lane. So I eventually... all of the characters had different names in Draft 1, but I kept Tortoise-Lane from Draft 1.
Wow.
As for every other name, they are all rooted in Irish names. So some of them are a little bit more common Irish names, like Ronan or Neve. However, there are names like Plina and Donal that specifically these spellings would probably be a little bit less familiar to American audiences.
Right.
Plina specifically, I chose because of a character from Irish folklore, a goddess, Plina, who I have always adored. I have always loved her stories. Irish folklore is very much a big part of this book, and she is a goddess who is a lot of times associated with love and beauty, and I was like, this is perfect. It has to be my main character.
Right.
Wow. You know, Ronan also calls her a goddess at some point. Like, I had just read over the part. I was like, if she turns into a goddess after this, oh my god.
I have a lot of fun with like religious symbolism and mythology stuff. I love it.
That's
It's
so
so good.
awesome. And like upon reading the names for the first time, I was thinking maybe Scottish because of the O's in the last names on a lot of the characters. But Irish makes complete sense. And
Right.
you did so much research and that you love this book. You love this story. An author who loves their story, this book is bound. It's destined to do well.
Right.
I'm
you.
a I love it. I love it. And I, again, could go on forever. So, and also the book was originally titled Medievally Blonde. And let me tell you, I scrolled back far on your TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
You posed very consistently, which makes sense. Between the two of us, we have 300,000 followers on TikTok. But Medievally Blonde is what it was originally titled.
Yeah.
Can you share the story behind that title and why did it change to The Princess Knight?
Yeah, so that title was always just a working title that was actually a joke between a friend and I.
I love it.
I was about to say, I love it so much. A joke. I love it.
Yeah, so I never expected to get that far.
Wow.
It was actually a thing I would joke where I'm just like, I was waiting for like people to be like, this doesn't work. So it was a good friend of mine who I met in college when I was first working on this book. He also loves to write and we would talk about our writing a lot. And he was the one who actually came up with Medievally Blonde. He was calling it that as a joke and I decided to use it as my like working title because I'm horrible at coming up with titles. And I never bothered to come up with something better. And
I loved it. You're like,
I know.
I loved it so much. I mean, I love The Princess Knight too, but it's
it'll always have a special place in my heart.
right.
I do love it. But yeah, so it was always a discussion of if we were going to change it or not, because we weren't sure it matched the tone of the book. And we were a little bit too worried that people were going to think it was 100% rom-com.
That makes
That
sense.
was our biggest concern. Like, there was definitely a lot of people who were thinking it's 100% rom-com, and I want to be like, oh, people will die, though.
Right.
Like, I don't even get mad at me if bad things happen.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth, and we couldn't come up with things for a while. But then eventually, we were all talking again, and it was decided that it would be better just to make it clearer to the audience, give better expectations of what people will expect from the book. And we ended up coming up with a list of different ideas, and The Princess Knight is what we ended up going with, mostly because it was also a play on The Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love it.
We've been just like sitting on this question forever. Like, I've been trying to find the answer on your TikTok. I just could not find anything. So I was like, okay, we have to ask you whenever you come on because I need to know.
I don't think I've ever said why publicly, so here you go. You guys got the scoop.
Yay!
The first thing I remember, Haley came to me and she was like, I got Cait JACOBS. We're gonna interview and it's this book, but I can't figure out why. It's not Medievally Blonde anymore. That was all one sentence the very first time I had ever heard of our interview happening. So I'm glad to have it answered.
Yep. It's an unfortunately boring answer of just wanting
totally
to play to
makes sense.
expectations.
Like, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And you saying it, I'm like, wow, I guess being from the outside and seeing it on a shelf for the first time, Medievally Blonde, I do think rom-com, and I wouldn't have thought that before our conversation. So yes,
Exactly.
It makes a lot of sense.
Very smart. Makes a lot. So let's go ahead and talk about, your publishing journey from starting your first idea to signing with Harper Voyager. Can you walk us through that process? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I had a very weird journey. I had a very abnormal one. So I first wrote the book in 2018. I then worked on editing it through 2022, and I was posting about it publicly the entire time. For me, it was like a way to get community and also get motivation and like accountability of people to be like, actually work on this. So as I was doing that, it was, I believe, summer 2022 that I got an email from Harper Voyager.
That is so cool.
And they had seen my videos and they wanted to meet with me. And the book was not fully edited at the time, so do as I say, not as I do. I still sent it to them.
Oh my God.
Shouldn't have done that. But I did send it to them, and I scrambled to get an agent to represent me. And luckily, my team at Harper Voyager was so great where they really wanted to make sure that I was agented if we were going to have a deal. So that was really amazing because it can be a situation, especially with debut authors. You know, people are so excited to get published. It's very easy for authors to be taken advantage of. So just shout out to Harper Voyager for listen, I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
If they pressured me enough, I probably would have given it. It wouldn't have been smart or good for me, but I would have. I'm the first to admit my own flaws. So I'm glad that they were looking out for me because I wasn't.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, and so that's how I ended up like doing really quick querying. The editor contacted me from Voyager and actually knew my now agent at the time, and he had been interested. So I sent him a quick query. I also sent out a couple other queries. And after the most strange and chaotic few weeks of my life, he offered to represent me. And then I think it was literally the day after he offered to represent me, I had a meeting with the editor from Voyager where they mentioned that they wanted to buy the book, and it was like a week later that we got the official offer. Stuff doesn't happen like that. I cannot emphasize enough how weird this was.
Right.
Like, this is very strange, and I think it's really solely because there was people interested online. There was a lot of people who like had already expressed interest in the book, and I think it was also just a lot of luck of timing, and a lot of things were on my side in this. So yeah, so I sold it that summer, and we then went into edits, and that ended up getting spread out over a good period of time, and then we finally got to announce it last year. Keeping that secret for like those 2 years, I was dead inside.
Oh my God.
I'm really bad at keeping secrets. It was awful. I had to like stop doing live streams because I couldn't keep a secret.
Oh my gosh, I would immediately be like, oh my gosh, guys, like, you'll never believe the email that I got.
No, and then like, just then I was also getting comments and people were just like, hey, like, whatever happened with your book? Like, when is that going to come out? And I'm just sitting there being like, I can't say anything.
Me and your comments, like, when is this coming out?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
2 years. What?
That's crazy.
Publishing, I've learned I'm in the wrong career because publishing is all secrets all the time, and I'm so bad at it that I just can't talk anymore.
Wow. No, yeah. Whenever we interview published author, like traditionally published, I'm like, how? How do you wait that long? I would forget what my book was about. Like, I would have to go and reread it to remember everything because there's just way.
To be honest, I've forgotten half of the stuff in this book now. Like, don't ask me. Don't ask me anything.
Let's not get specific, okay? Wow. That is so insane. And I guess you kind of touched on it, but you had to be quiet during all of it. But was there ever a moment where you just kind of were hit by, wow, I'm going to be published? Like, was there like an out-of-body experience going on? Like, what went through your head?
I think, honestly, the fact that I had to be quiet about it meant that that experience was just like spread out over these 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely for that first month, ever since I got that first email from my publisher, when I had my call with my agent, all those moments were moments where I just had to sit back afterwards and be like, oh my God, this is actually happening. There was a lot of jumping up and down and screaming to the point where my dog was concerned.
Oh no.
So
oh my gosh.
Poor little Leia was a little worried about me that summer, but it was definitely, I was in shock for most of that time. And then the fact that, I couldn't really talk about it that much also meant that like, it didn't feel real at the same time.
Right.
And it's something I've talked with a lot of other debuts, and apparently this is a very common experience of like, it does not feel real. And it's slowly starting to feel real now. Like, I think announcing was a big moment where it felt real because we announced when I was at YALLFest. So my announcement post went up, and then I had people coming up to me being like, oh, I just saw it, like your book. And I was like, oh, people actually know this exists now.
Right.
Like, I can talk about it.
Wow.
So that, I think, helped make it feel a lot more real. And then, like, actually holding the book was a
Yeah.
big, absolute, like, crying.
It's so
Like, we're ugly
good.
crying. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
And so, before we move on, I just have to talk about the cover.
Yeah.
Who designed this cover? Because I want them to design everything now. Like, every time I pick up a book, I want it to look like this.
Yes.
This is beautiful.
I am so obsessed. I got so blessed. No, okay, so the cover is always like a team effort of your publisher has a designer, and then they also hired an artist. In this case, they hired a Lithian, who I have been the biggest fan of for forever.
Right.
I literally have some of their art on my wall. Like,
Aw.
I am so obsessed. So when we were talking about this cover, we originally were going a different direction at first. There was another cover that almost existed. Speaking of the rom-com stuff, we were worried it leaned a little bit too rom-com and ended up going a different direction. And I remember sending them a few different artists, and I was like, please consider these people. And Olithian was like top of my list. And I was like, please, like, I am begging. And they actually did, which was so wild. And it was a really incredible process. I remember they would send over like mood boards of what they were looking at for it. And it was just really incredible. There was a couple of different versions that I was sent to just be able to give my opinions on. So like whether we wanted both Clea and Ronan on the front, color scheme type stuff, like pink was obviously had to be featured. In my brain, this is just a very pink book.
Yes.
So it was very exciting and interesting, and I
I'm
just got
obsessed.
so lucky.
Oh my gosh.
It's stunning. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
It will sit front facing on my shelf forever. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I
They're,
also,
like-
there's like another version. It's behind you, the one where Murphy is on the front.
Yes.
I need that immediately.
saw
'cause I
that.
don't have that version. I need him right
Yes.
here. Yes.
This is the Loft Library edition with
It's
sprayed
stunning.
edges and
Oh,
Murphy. There's
wow.
also another Murphy on the inside tab. There's 3 Murphys in this, and it brings me
I
so
love
much joy.
Murphy. I need a little
Actually, I think
Murphy.
there's 4. I think there's 4 because there's Murphy on the back
Oh my
cover,
God.
Murphy on the end pages, Murphy in the like jacket tab, and then Murphy on the front cover.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Wow.
No, that edition was so stunning, and that was all credits to the Loft Library team.
Wow.
They did a fantastic job. They had it like pretty much figured out when they sent it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and like all I could do was just sit in awe.
Aw, that's so nice.
Wow. And speaking of Murphy, I'm so glad you chose this like ravenous beast to look like an otter. And not only that, she's our like pretty pink princess's sidekick.
Right.
You're a genius. Oh my
I
god.
had so much fun with that. I love a good cryptid. I love a good like fantastical beast, and
Right.
dorkoos fascinate me because they come from Irish folklore, and
Wow.
they, I think, are criminally underrated. I think people need to like go read Story on the Dorku. They're so fun. I don't know if fun's the best word to use, but I think they're fun.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, no. And also, I love cute little fluffy animals. And the
Yeah.
more violent they are, the cuter.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, we love to hear it. Oh my gosh. And then something else we also love about you is how strong your social media presence is. I brought it up over and over again because I am just in awe of you. You've founded Book Talk and the Bookington Book Club. Like, how are you so good at connecting with people? It's so insane. And did this all just come naturally, or was this more of a trial and error kind of thing? Were you always on social media to begin with before TikTok was big? Tell us
I like to
everything.
joke that it was an accident, but no, I have always been on social media. I have always especially loved bookish social media communities. And so when I was in middle school and high school, I loved BookTube, I loved Bookstagram, and I tried my hand at it, and I failed horribly. It was really bad. And I also even tried to make a bookish Vine account.
Fine. All right.
There, R.I.P. to a legend, honestly. So like I tried everything and nothing stuck. It was not working, and I just kind of accepted that like social media was not for me. There was one social media account I did have. I had a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan account on Instagram that had 1,000 followers, and that was my pride and joy.
Oh my I need to go find it now.
Yeah.
What?
Like the
I can
Instagram
see if that's
archives.
still up. You just see all of like my Willow and Tara posts and my Spike and Buffy posts. I did that. I like used that religiously when I was in high school. I'd be like on the bus to school, like making like a little edit and posting it on there. So I always really enjoyed the fandom corners of social media. Never really had too much success, except for that Buffy account, which that no one in my life knew about. And then eventually I had to come home from college because I have agoraphobia, and this was when I was dealing with it for the first time, and I was in a really bad place mentally, and it was pretty awful. And in order to cope, I really went back into the bookish communities and I started a book blog. And I started posting nonstop on my book blog. I committed to it for so long, and I eventually got like a nice, I loved it. I had my 5,000 followers on there, and it was everything to me. And eventually, I was then eventually working at the library again, and those kids were talking about this new app, TikTok. And I needed to know what they were talking about because it's very important that they think I'm cool.
Right.
So I downloaded it and immediately got addicted. And I decided there wasn't a lot of bookish accounts at the time. I couldn't find any. So I decided why not just, scream into the void and talk about my books because I was already making like these lists for my blog. So why not just also make them in video form? No one's going to see it. At this point, I was very used to failure. So I decided let's just scream into the void. And then people heard me, which I did not expect. Not at first, thank God. Otherwise, I probably would have quit immediately. I would have like panicked and ran. No, I was posting for a few months, and a small little community of us book nerds started joining up and talking. There was like maybe 5 of us over like the first couple of months of 2020. And then that thing happened in 2020, and people had a lot of free time, and all of a sudden one of my videos went viral. And everything kind of changed from there. It was a very abrupt and strange change, and my mentality was just to run with it for as long as the world will let me. So I just figured I wanted to run with it and see how long it would last, not expecting it to last long. And I think that's still my mentality.
Well, you are doing very good. I don't think you have to worry about it ending. You are set. You are good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you remember what the first post was that went viral?
I do. It had to be like around March 12th or 13th. Could have been March 14th. But it was a video where I think I was like, hey, since a lot of us have some free time now, here are some of my favorite new book releases from 2019 that you need to read. Just because I still remember some of the books in it because I was laughing because We Hunt the Flame was in it, and that became a book that I mentioned as much as possible, and is still a book I mention as much as possible, so I love that has not changed about me. But yeah, that I believe was the first one to really get popular.
Yeah.
And then there was a follow-up to that one that did even better, but I can't remember what the books were in that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have great taste. Everyone loves your taste in books.
And you have so many, like I keep finding more books that I love on your bookshelf. And I just want to say, I know this is totally off topic, but there's a series behind you that I've been begging McKaylee to read. It's by Mary E. Pearson, and it is, McKaylee has not read either of, she's got the duology, she's got her trilogy. McKaylee has not read them. They are beautiful.
I do. I am behind.
Okay, but this actually, this actually works, because if you like The Princess Knight, I've been using the trilogy, The Kiss of Deception, as a comp title. Like, even when I was pitching it to people before it was ever known to be going to be published. So, The Kiss of Deception, you would like it if you like The Princess Knight.
Oh, well, I gotta jump on it. Oh my
I know.
goodness.
I've been telling you to do it for years.
I know.
Now
No,
Cait
so
comes in.
The only time I read a book is if Haley has already read it. So I am working through your list, Haley. She paves the way, and I just go. Let me tell you, and I was telling Haley earlier, I did not read the back of the book, so I was shocked when she did not choose Domhnall at the beginning, and I texted Haley. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy!" And she's like, "It's on the back of the book." So, anyways, I love this book. So yes, I will need to check out those books by Mary Pearson.
I never hear anyone talk about her books ever. Like, even on Book Talk and like my Bookstagram, no one ever mentions Mary's books, and they are amazing. They're beautiful.
They're so good. Like, the duology, Dance of Thieves, lives rent-free in my head all of the time. I've reread that book like 5 times. It's so good.
They're so good. Going back to your social media, how do you balance, being a content creator, but now you're an author? How do you balance the two?
It was a very strange transition. Luckily, I had those 2 years to kind of prepare myself,
Yeah.
which I think really helped. And I've always wanted to be an author. This was always something that's been a life goal of mine. Now, whether I actually believed I'd be able to do it was a different question, but I try to be positive, so I always tried to keep that intention, and I think
Right.
that did help a little bit with the type of environment that I created on my page because while I liked posting reviews and discussing it, I've always been more one to shout about the books I loved rather than the ones I hated. I think it's also just because I'm a very depressed person and I need positivity in my life.
Right.
That luckily I think got me in a good place to get ready for that transition to be an author because especially as an author, you don't really want to be, I mean, personally for me, I would feel uncomfortable talking about my colleagues' work. So luckily that was a very easy change for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's really just been an interesting balance of kind of figuring out that line between before being primarily a reader and being allowed in reader spaces. And now as an author, I want to make sure I'm respecting reader spaces. And it's also interesting because I have a lot of mutuals and friends that I've known from the book talk and Bookstagram world. And so I want to make sure that they can feel comfortable saying whatever they want about my book and they don't have to worry about me or my feelings. So I really work on protecting those boundaries and keeping them there and respecting them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the most important part for me in this transition, while also still making sure I'm streaming about the other books that I love because that's what brings me joy.
Yeah. And it's
that's what I
good
love.
also authors support authors. So, it's
Yeah.
good to shout out this book that you read. You want everyone else to read it so you can talk
Oh,
about the
yeah.
book with
Yeah.
them.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh.
I love screaming about all of the incredible books out there. So
Yeah.
now it's just doing it from a slightly different angle of sometimes I've known the person whose book I'm screaming about.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And then speaking of all these other authors, so for authors listening who feel kind of intimidated by social media or marketing, what advice would you give to them?
I think the most important thing is just authenticity and building your own little community. I think a lot of people get really overwhelmed with the numbers and feeling like they have to be at a certain level or they have to be doing X, Y, and Z or doing certain trends or certain formats all the time. And I think the most important thing for people to remember is to post what you enjoy posting, to have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun with it, people can tell. And it's just not going to do great.
Right.
And then really just foster those connections. You don't need a large number of followers to make a difference and to really especially if you're thinking about marketing a book or you really want to get into publishing, but you want to network in the community. The big numbers aren't really what's going to move the needle at all. It's a thing a lot of authors talk about is kind of how social media done by the author itself doesn't really change much. It's the readers who can move the needle on social media. That's really where that's at. A lot of people, when they hear an author advertise their book for the millionth time, they're just gonna tune out.
Right.
I can just imagine how many people are so done with hearing about my Knight X Princess medieval fantasy novel.
Oh my god.
That same thing that I've said a million times. But it really is, people are more interested, readers are more interested in what other readers have to say than what the authors have to say about the book. And so for authors, I would just remind them of that, and hopefully that could ease a little bit of pressure on them of just make the community, make a happy space for you on the internet. Publishers want you to post about your book, so post about your book. But make sure you're doing it in ways that you like. Don't try to conform to anything. Don't try to fit a mold that you don't think fits you. Just have fun with it, and whatever happens, happens.
That's
You're so good
great
at it.
advice. Oh my god.
Make it look so easy though.
Okay, my other realistic advice: spend hours on Canva.
Oh my gosh.
Use the site later.
Oh my gosh. Well, you are a genius. You are a social media pro, and you could charge people to learn from you.
I know. I'm like, if you had a class, if you had the social media class, we're the first 2 people to sign up. We'll be in there.
Come on.
Make a class.
I just have a lot of fun with it. I'm also a tech nerd, so before all of this, I was going to school for mathematics and computer science. So
wow.
I live for algorithms. I
God.
have spreadsheets for everything, and that's my happy place. So I think that's
Wow.
also why I just have a little bit more fun with it.
Wow.
Love that.
That is so smart. I'm so tired of our Google Docs that Haley and I share. command F everything. I'm like, no.
I make a Google Doc for everything.
Like, we need to utilize our spreadsheets.
Sorry.
Oh God.
But that really, I mean, that is seriously great advice because it is so easy to get overwhelmed with looking at the analytics and your professional dashboard on Instagram and being like, I spent so many hours on this post and I'm so upset that only 100 people liked it. But it's just so easy to get caught up in that. And so
it really is. It happens to me all the time. I can I have to actively make myself not look at the numbers as much and just remember that I'm posting it because I had fun making it, because of maybe one person that I interact with I know will like that content.
Yeah.
I cater it towards that to make myself feel better, because otherwise I get 100% lost in those numbers.
Right. This one I've been sitting on forever too. So if The Princess Knight was ever adapted into a movie or a TV show, who is your dream cast for Clea and Roden?
Okay, so this is so hard because I know no actors.
I feel like this would be a beautiful animation too.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that would
Yes.
be amazing. I would kill for that. That would be incredible. Yeah, no, I feel like I don't know any actors, and especially because Clea and Ronan are 19. Thinking logistically, I'm just like, what? 19-year-old actors are there?
Yeah, that makes
I'm
sense.
not sure. So I'm going to go with the cop-out answer of, I would love someone undiscovered.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that is the story itself holds its own. If it were adapted into a movie, great, but the story carries itself. That's
Right.
all you need. Actors just make it look better. But so anyone can play those roles. And with that being said, I really do feel this is going to be such a huge success.
Oh, yeah.
Once it's out in the
Thank
world. The story is great. You've thought of all the details. I'm trying to think of plot holes, and I have not been able to find any.
I'm sure I could find some if you give me some time.
And if there's a plot hole in a book, in most fantasy books, the authors are always like, well, it's a fantasy world, so let me just make this up real quick. It's not allowed.
Just
Whatever.
magic, actually.
But this is, I think, genius. When I try to write anything, this is what I want it to look like. So you are doing it. You're doing the thing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And what can readers expect next? Are you working on something in the 2 years that you had to wait for this? Because
You would
what
think
are you
I would
doing?
have so much done, but I don't. No. So I am working on currently just completely uncontracted work in progress I'm working on right now. That has been my fun little escape. Very different vibes. It's very different vibes, but I've also learned that I can't be serious. It's so funny because I really wanted this book to be a lot more serious. And then I keep putting in jokes and stuff. And I'm like, I cannot take myself seriously. But no, so I don't know if this will be what comes next necessarily, but it is what I'm working on now. It's still fantasy, but a little bit darker in tone and atmosphere. A little bit more of just where I think The Princess Knight is kind of an ode to the rom-coms I love and the 80s fantasy movies that I love. This one is more of an ode to the dark fantasy, but also the horror that I love. But
wow.
Don't take a lot from the horror part, because again, I'm so unserious.
Oh my gosh. Well, one day when it's published, we'll buy it. So you have 2 guaranteed readers.
Right? So can you tell us, is the Princess Knight world over? Do you think you'll ever see yourself in the future writing another book set in the same world?
So I purposely left doors open. Publishing is very much a thing of you never know what's going to happen with timing. It's not up to one person or even a whole bunch of people. There's so many factors that go into if and when a book gets made, but I did leave doors open, and I would love to return there. I have so many ideas for other stories in that world. I feel like for a lot of people who have read The Princess Knight, there's one story that I think people really know that I want to tell, because I've gotten DMs asking for it. So just know that door is never shut. I just don't know if or when that'll ever happen.
Right.
Oh my god, that gets me so giddy. I cannot wait for the future. I'm
I
can I
know.
get here already? And then one last question that we love asking all of our guests. If you could have dinner with any author, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Well, this is tough because I'm trying to think of what's a intellectual answer, and then I'm just the fangirl side of me.
Yeah.
is just screaming. Where I'm just like, Lee Bardugo, because I am obsessed with Sits Across.
Love. Oh my gosh. Kaylee has not read that series either.
No,
Sorry.
not yet.
You need to change that.
I know.
To change that.
There's so many things I need to change. My TBR, guys.
No, but I would have to say probably I would love to have dinner with Lee Bardugo, Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker. Like, this is when I'm thinking of like classic authors, Frankenstein and Dracula are my favorite classics of all time. And I would just love to pick their brains. And then I'm also a Shakespeare nerd.
Haley was in Macbeth.
Fun.
That's the Shakespeare knowledge. Yes. That's
So, you know, I'd have to say my nice range of authors would have to be Lee Bardugo, Shakespeare, same level to me, and Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker.
Wow.
Those are good. Invite us. We'll come too.
Yeah, I'll be the waiter, okay? If you're like having dinner, I'm gonna like listen in on everything happening. So
yeah.
Just hit me up. We'll raise everyone from the dead, everyone that is not with us.
It'll be great. little dash of necromancy, it's fine.
Yes! Perfect. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Not that I can think of. I just hope if anyone picks up The Princess Knight that they enjoy. And just thank you if you do. Just like I'm at that point where I'm just like, thank you if you read it. Just like still in shock that can happen. You can find me on pretty much any social media site, but I'm most active on TikTok and Instagram, and that's at Cait's Books. That's CAITS Books. I spell it the annoying way. And I am posting obnoxiously there all the time, so definitely feel free to join.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely loved having you. And we hope we can see you again in the future for future books. So we'll be waiting. We will be stalking those TikTok, Instagram pages. So we will be here.
No, thank you guys
Very
so
anxious.
much.
I'm zooming in on yourself. Like, looking for clues.
Just look for like Taylor Swift Easter eggs.
Yes.
I tried to Taylor Swift Easter egg when I was keeping The Princess Knight a secret. I learned I'm bad at it.
No one's getting it.
Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh.
Cait, thank you so much for joining us today and just hanging out with us. It was so fun and inspiring to hear about The Princess Knight, your writing journey, and everything that went into bringing this story to life.
Yes, and we loved getting to hear all the behind the scenes of how you've connected with readers online. It is so inspiring.
Yeah, so if you want to check out The Princess Knight, we have all of Cait's links in the show notes so you can follow them, support them, and of course, grab their book.
And don't forget, we will be back next Thursday with another new episode. Make sure you're following us so you don't miss it. Bye!
Yay!